Hey guys, how are you? Alright, so I had to change and do what I had to do because I had to take in the eclipse. It's been a couple of interesting, the last couple of days have been really, really interesting. Let's just put it like this. This partial solar eclipse is on a whole nother level. I was not expecting the energy that was coming from it. It was definitely a lot of feistiness that has been occurring the past couple of days. So I had stated in the previous video that I am an Aquarius Pisces rising, and with this particular solar eclipse, it actually followed my Aquarius map a little bit more, because in my map of my birth chart, it follows more so Pisces. But Aquarius kind of stuck out large and wide in this scenario, and it hit my 12th house of subconscious. So I'm definitely going through all the things, but I wanted to kind of clarify some things for you guys when it comes to this energy, because it is extremely potent energy. The energy is it definitely could help you guys if it was explained a little bit. So let's go into it. So basically, with the partial solar eclipse, it is still a new moon. The difference is that obviously the moon is covering a part of the sun. So there's still a good amount of a portion of the sun that's being shown. And this eclipse is actually being able to be seen in Asia. So we're not really able to see it over here, even though it's still nighttime. But we can't see it from this side. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? But let's talk about it. So we're in Capricorn season. I wanted to start off talking about that. Capricorn season is a tough season. Capricorn is a very, just like the weather, you never know what to expect from the Capricorn. There are days that the Capricorn is just straight-faced. Other days it's making jokes. It's just like, I mean, it's easy for me more so to understand because I'm also within the earth sign. So with Virgo, we kind of have very similar characteristics as being the trine sign to Cap. However, Capricorns have a lot of pressure on them as far as making sure that they are disciplined. Reason being is because Saturn is actually the ruler of Capricorn. And Saturn is pretty much like the, I want to say, the father, the grandfather of this, the planets. It's although Jupiter is more like the teacher and the grandfather as far as wisdom, Saturn is more so the grandfather as in making sure he's that granddad that's like, are you doing what you're supposed to do? Are you getting things done? How much money is in the bank? Are you putting food on the table? Saturn is very direct energy of being extremely strict and disciplined. And because of that reason, you will find yourself pretty much communicating with Capricorns about things that have to do with work, or things that have to do with getting things done, things that have to do with status. The way that Capricorns really they don't really surround themselves by people that are not trying to do something with themselves, because Capricorn is always trying to get to the higher point of the ladder. So it's really hard for them to mingle with people that want to talk about things that don't necessarily put them in higher status. You will definitely go through sometimes that you might meet a Capricorn that might, especially if they have Venus in Capricorn, they would totally marry for money or marry for status, or just in general, love to them is security. But it's security in a different way than security that's viewed in Virgo terms, or security that's viewed in Taurus terms. Although Taurus still is second house and it talks about value, it's a completely different way of looking at it, where Capricorns see value in status and moving up, right? That being said, it's a really hard moon, because of the fact that you're starting a new beginning in a new year in the mindset of discipline, in the mindset of getting things done, in the mindset of what title do I have in society? How does the public view me? What am I giving to other people that they are able to notice me, right? It's not what am I giving to other people because I care. It's I want to be noticed because I'm trying to get to the next level. I need to be seen so I can put more money in the bank or get a better title. That is that energy of Capricorn. And as much as Capricorns will sit here and say, well, damn, a lot of them will admit that at the end of the day, it's this never-ending ladder that they have to continuously climb up for them to feel like they have shit under control. Because ultimately, that Capricorn energy is about control, right? So, interesting enough, and I will get into it, like the negativities of that, and I'm sad because I wanted to pull cards for this, but I will like scurry over to my card deck and grab it, so you guys would probably see a blank space for like about 10 seconds. But just because I want you guys to really understand this energy, because it's a very heavy energy. Now, let's just first talk about, before we get into more about the aspects of this moon, I wanted to kind of clarify exactly why eclipses are so important. So eclipses pretty much carry the energy of about 3 times the amount of a new moon or 3 times the amount of a full moon. So either you have a solar eclipse, which is carried out of 3 times of a new moon, or you have a lunar eclipse, which is carried out of 3 times of a full moon. And depending on how potent it is, because there's partial eclipses and there's like, you know, large, like there's just so many different versions, so it's just, you got to take into consideration whether you're only dealing with a partial or whether you're dealing with a total. In this case, this is a partial solar eclipse, so there's a lot of energy that's still there that's reflecting on, I would say, even the sun, because the sun is still shining in somewhat ways. So it's not completely just emotions, but it's also tapping a little bit into ego, and that's very important to understand as well. Keep in mind that eclipses are energy, it's energy that lasts up to 6 months. So interesting enough, this is the second eclipse that's a part of the Cancer Capricorn series. There was one that was earlier this year in July of 2000, well, I'm sorry, last year. Oh, this is so weird for me to say. But there was one that was in July of last year of 2018 that begun these series, and then it's going to be another one that will happen in July of 2020. So even though they say it lasts about 6 months, you're going to see a trend occurring between what occurred in July of 2018 to what's occurring around now to what will occur in July of 2020. So it's a good time for you to kind of jot things down. I always say it's nice to keep a notebook of some sort so you can kind of go over what you're going through during that time. If you can keep kind of like a lunar log, and that'll help you kind of see, you know, set your intentions and then see what exactly you're releasing at the end. Because again, full moons don't necessarily have to do with just completions, but it's more so about release of energy, because now this energy has pretty much conjured up so much energy that it's drawing back, so that way you can shoot forward and release something that's very powerful and potent, that ultimately will lead into those completions of those intentions that you set on a new moon. So it's really cool if you guys keep a journal of what has, you know, occurs around now. Maybe you might have an idea of what happened around July of 2018. But then if you start the journal now and then, you know, pick it up in July of 2020 and write it down along with everything else going on this year, it'll kind of help you see how everything is, you know, moving in a cycle. So that's pretty much how the eclipse work. Now, when I say new beginnings in the matter of Capricorn, let's talk Capricorn. Capricorn is public persona, like I said before, career, titles, reputation. So important to understand that. What this means is this. It depends on what house it's in your chart. You want to go to where 15 degrees and 25 minutes of Capricorn is in your chart specifically, and it'll tell you what, you know, theme it's really going to carry as far as where this is going to sit. So just giving an example, you know, I have it in my 12th house. That means that subconsciously I'm starting to think about, who am I? What title am I bringing about myself? What is my reputation, not just with other people, but how do I see myself as far as the reputation that I've had in the past? And what reputation am I trying to push in the future? And it's really all based off of what, again, I dealt with in the past, because 12th house talks a lot about past life karmas, things that you've dealt in the past, you know, things that are coming back to cycle, that are revisiting so that way you could change something or do something different. It talks about psychology. Let's just give another example. If you had this placement in your 7th house of partnerships, How are you reputable as a partner? Or, you know, how are you advancing together? How is your career, you know, affecting your relationships, affecting what you're doing in your friendships, your one-on-one friendships, not just your, you know, groups. That's 11th house. But, you know, or even in law, if you have a court system, or if you're in the court system, or, yeah, you have a case or something, what is your reputation as far as, what you're going against? Like, maybe you have a negative reputation. It might cause some issues as far as your court case. So there's a different way of looking at things. And it's all based on where your house is and where it falls, okay? Again, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So this is really big when it comes to maturity, responsibility, discipline, goals. Those are so major, all right? I did write down, and I want you guys to understand that this is a year number 3 when it comes to numerology. If you add 2019 together, you're going to get 3. It is time to create. We had a manifestation year last year of 2018, which was year 11, which means a lot of us were able to really recognize our ability to be able to manifest the things that we're thinking and bring it into the physical realm. Well, now that you're able to think about those things and you're able to master that idea, it's the biggest power right now to be able to create it. So now you're taking that concept, right, of taking those 2 ones and you're turning them into 2, because now you have full ones that are turning into 2, and ultimately what happens when you're creating with 2 from one idea, it's turning into 3. So it's a major thing to understand that there is no time for procrastination in this year. This year is about creation. It is time to stop the bullshit, get off the couch, get off of your fears, get out of that mindset, and to produce what you need to get done. Now, I will give you guys a heads up that this energy is definitely going to kick you in the ass. I promise you it will happen. Main reason is because we have a sandwich effect right now when it comes to the way that the moon was. So you have a conjunction between Saturn and Pluto. These are 2 of the hardest planets to deal with. And so I already have the moon in Capricorn. That's putting double the energy in there. All right, so Saturn again has to do with that grandfather type styled personality of, are you getting things done? Are you accomplishing the goals that you need to get done? I don't want to hear any ifs, ands, whats, or buts. Get it done, right? It's that hard energy. Very 10 of Wands energy. If you guys have time to look on the internet on 10 of Wands. That 10 of Wands that's just carrying that burden on the back, right? Trying to get to that destination and not making any excuses or, you know, making up stories to tell yourself to become a part of some, you know, delusion that I couldn't get this done. No, you can get it done. You can figure out a way. There is no ifs, ands, or buts, right? That's that natural Saturn energy. So having that, and then also having the moon sitting right there in between Pluto, that's also going to bring a lot of darkness as well, because Pluto sits in darkness. Pluto is traditionally, it's in the realm of the farthest out planet, right? So it's so far out there that it's on the subconscious level of planets, and ultimately what it's doing is tapping into what your desires are. It modernly, there you go, modernly rules Scorpio, where Mars originally rules or traditionally rules Scorpio, but Pluto is that's our transformation, our death and rebirth, regeneration. That talks about what we desire and why we desire it based off of how much we accomplished previously, right? So when you accomplish something after you desire a specific need or want, once you accomplish it, it's been accomplished. You no longer desire it in the same exact way that you would desire it originally, because now you've experienced it, right? I just spoke about this in the last video when speaking on the full moon in Cancer. Once you go through that experience is what really brings you into the next stage and how you're going to jet forward with that particular issue or that particular situation. So having that Hades kind of flair, right? Because think of Pluto. Pluto goes deep in the realms that make us feel uncomfortable. It sits in the darkness, right? And let's be honest, in dark is all of our secrets, all of our fears, all of our hidden identities. And I say identities as in plural because this is in our Akashic records. So this talks about all of the different identities that we've had over lifetimes and lifetimes that has ultimately transformed us into who we are today, right? I read a meme that talked a lot about this, and I absolutely love it. It's on my Instagram, and it says, all the ghosts of who you are before appreciate who you are now and respect who you are now, right? I always say this to people. If you're in a relationship with somebody and things are not going well, and you can either choose to either be each other's poison and continue that terrible connection with each other and just keep annoying each other and making a false sense of like happiness, or you can go the opposite way and you can decide that you want to give each other freedom, and ultimately what that's going to do is release that sense of feeling like poison. And it's going to give another opportunity, because at the end of the day, if you're meant to be together, the two versions of yourself that are ascended versions of each other, now that you both shed skin off of the past of who you were before, right, metamorphosis, they're going to be prepared for each other. But if you continuously feed this idea and this disease that things are working out and they're not, and you're not allowing yourself to grow into who you really should be, how are you going to be prepared if the other person decides to do so? You guys are not going to be at the same level anymore, because the one is going to be on an ascended plane and the other one is going to still be in that broken field of trying to repeat the same thing over and over again, which ultimately just turns out to be insanity, right? Expecting change when it's just the same thing over and over again. That doesn't happen. So, going forward, to have those two energies sandwiching that Capricorn moon is really putting a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on the moon, a lot of pressure on emotions, and ultimately what it's doing is asking you the question, are your emotions worth all of these things that you feel? Are they worth it? Are they going to get in the way of your desires? Are you accomplishing your desires? Are you allowing, on the other end, your desires to get to you so bad that you're becoming greedy for your desires? So I wanted to go into the Devil card, right? The Devil card with tarot. I really want to hop over and grab my card deck so you guys can see this. So bear with me for about 10 seconds. Maybe 15. Okay? Hold on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, that was way less, and that probably was counting really slow. Alright. So I'm going to pull the card for you because I really want you guys to see what I see, and not everybody has a chance to go on, or they don't really know what to search when it comes to the tarot cards. So I want to pull up this card so you guys can see what I see, because there is a side of this that can be really, really freaky, and it could be very disturbing, right? Especially since this is in the season right now that, like, we're crossing over between the holidays and going into, like, the bear winter, right? There's nothing going on right now until Valentine's Day, which, let's be honest, some of us don't have relationships, and we're bitter as hell. And we secretly want people to, like, fall on their face in their dresses and shit when they go out to dinner with their boyfriends and girlfriends, which is horrible. But let's just be honest. Alright, so, let me see. Getting there. I'm pulling 3 cards so you guys could see. If I can also find that Wands, 10 of Wands card so you guys can see what I was saying before, I will definitely pull it. It should be here, obviously. All my cards are here, but just so you guys can see the difference. So I want to talk to you guys about the really dark side of this energy, because obviously I would love to end it on a positive note, but you guys need to really see the difference, because this is a very heavy concept. Alright, here it is. We're pulling up the Devil card. Alright, just looking for my 10 of Wands so you guys can see that card from before. What should be like my very last card? I passed it and didn't realize it. Alright, here we go. So, this is the 10 of Wands. I'm going to do this like these little YouTube cards. Alright? This is the 10 of Wands, alright? That's that energy of being like, you're trying to get to this destination, right? This is the destination here. And depending on like the reader, depending on the rest of the cards that are in the tarot deck, we will tell you whether it's a positive or negative. Just because you have this card doesn't necessarily mean that there's a burden that's there, but it kind of gives an idea of what I mean before, right? That energy of that Saturnian energy, that's kind of like, are you doing what you have to do to get here? Now, obviously, anybody in their right mind, or maybe I'm crazy, I would naturally think to put these things on my back, but this guy is obviously, his back is so freaking swole that maybe that's like the only way for him to get where he needs to get, because he's exhausted. And that's honestly what that whole energy is of Saturnian energy is. It's like, get there, get where you need to get. Like, it doesn't matter how bad it hurts, you gotta get there because you have a status to build, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, after you go from the Ten of Wands and it goes into like, I mean, yeah, there's the Page and then there's the Knight. But then eventually it gets into the Queen and King, and that's where you're trying to get at the end of the day. So let's talk about these two energies that I want you to understand, right? So first it's that Saturnian energy that I just told you guys about, which is this one. Then we also have that Pluto energy, right? Pluto energy is the Death card. The reason why I say it's the Death card, right, is because of the fact that it is the transformative planet. It's the planet that says, I desire this, how am I going to get this? I have to go through some type of experience in order to get there. I have to shed some kind of skin. I have to be honest with myself in order to get to this area, right? So it really is a death and rebirth. It's the idea of, like, if you see this card, if you guys really look at the details of it, you have this child here, and it goes to different age groups all the way to the older man. I believe the older man is on the ground. Yes. You see a man pleading for his life. You see the girl, she looks really, really freaking guilty, but she's like, what the hell? Just go through the things, right? It's the idea of allowing yourself to transform. Okay? There is a crystal that I just got that is super awesome for this energy, and I really want to come up here and show you guys. It's pretty dope. Actually, I have it near me. Right? I have this little box. I have a ton of crystals. Anyway, so this is the crystal. I will write the name in the comments. It's a dope crystal. I picked this one up immediately. I didn't even know what the heck it was, and I was like, yo, something is so super dope about it. It just had these gold essence to it and these ripples. It was just so sick. Alright, and it talks about how the element is storm, so I'll definitely put the name in there, in the I can't quite say it. It's like stormless sight. So I can't say it. But I'm going to put it in the comments so you guys can see. But anyway, I talk about this because that's that transformative energy that Pluto is going to give off, and it's ultimately saying that you need to allow yourself to not necessarily confuse discipline with control issues, right? So that's the other side of that Capricorn energy, that Saturn energy, that could really cause conflict in this situation. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring out the Devil card. Now, I know it's really hard to accept, my dear Capricorns, but this is your card. And I tell you this, and you don't have to believe me until you see this lovely little goat here, right? That's you. Alright, so that idea, and understand why it's called the Devil card. So let's talk about this. Okay, going back and forth between my notes, and I'm not really needing my notes right now because, trust me, I feel this energy very heavily. Okay. What can be produced from desiring something so much and being so disciplined to the point that you actually disconnect from emotion? Narcissism, right? Very simple. Greed, right? And I say narcissism because you disconnect from emotion so much that you don't even see anybody around. You don't care how other people feel. As long as you get to the destination is your only concern, right? And then once you get to the destination, it's like, what else is there? There needs to be more. That is that energy of the Devil, because at a very negative point of a Capricorn's life, like very, very, very negative side of a Capricorn, would be someone who is like a narcissist, someone who is extremely greedy, obsessed with their desires. I actually had a conversation with a triple cat before. Crazy. Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Moon, Capricorn Rising. Like, when I tell you, very successful person, extremely successful, but I found myself explaining to him that old saying that, I forgot the guy's name, but it says something similar to, oh God, I'm totally gonna mess it up, but it's like, pretty much he was saying the only thing that ever gets him off his, like, game is temptation. That was it, which is like, duh. But the idea about it was saying, like, it was the same thing for him. He was so centered around his desire of something he wanted that he completely ignored how it would affect other people. And mainly it's because his sole purpose was to fulfill his desires. That was that greed that he needed to fulfill, which is ultimately that very devilish energy, right? It's that energy of needing something so bad that you become your own enemy because you have to get these desires accomplished, or like you're in your head and you just are not, you don't fulfill anything, right? So it also has to do with control, right? Why do you need control? You need control because in many ways you feel like you don't have it. There's something about your world or your life or your environment that makes you feel like you have a lack of control. So you start having control issues where you feel like you need to control others, right? So having your emotions and at such a large level, like this is 3 times the amount, guys. So like having your emotions in there, having it as a new moon, and being so concerned with reputation and career and the way the public views you, and seeing it from such a dark area, it could really screw with your head. It's not a healthy situation. And ultimately, at the end of the day, your conscious is pretty much in the underworld. That's pretty much where a lot of us are right now. A lot of us are in dark thoughts. A lot of us are going through all the things, and we're just kind of like, damn, my mind is really playing tricks on me and making me feel like I need to be the one that's, holding the power. I need to be the one that's on top. I need to be the one that's ahead, right? And it really messes with you. Because at the end of the day, if you really pick it apart, you can't honestly get what you want if you're only playing in a field with yourself. It just doesn't work like that. You'd be alone. So that's the craziest thing that a lot of people don't realize, including Capricorns. That Capricorn energy of being alone is the most disastrous feeling for them in the world. That's what the goat is, right? The goat sits on top of the mountain and it looks down at everybody else. And although it's at the top of the mountain and it's like, I made it, it's by itself half of the time. It's lonely. It's accomplished so much, and yet at the same time, accomplishing things has made it so obsessive with its desires that it starts to forget the opposite of it, which is the emotions, right? That Cancer energy, that home energy. It forgets all of it and it focuses mainly on just getting to the top. So that is the reason, my friends, why it's so important to understand that even in this dark type of setting, you need to grasp onto the other aspect that will make things way more positive and a lot lighter, thank goodness, and that is the eclipse's sextile Neptune. So I explained this in the last video and a couple of videos before. Anytime the planets, are sextile to each other, they're merging energies to make things be born, right? To make ideas born, to make concepts be born, and they're merging this energy so easily. It doesn't take too much effort to blend because they just naturally just melt into each other, right? That is that energy of sextile. So for the fact that the eclipse is sextile Neptune, it kind of allows everything from before, right? So in the full moon in Cancer, I was telling you guys that it was really hard because, or I'm sorry, even the new moon in Cancer more so than the full moon in Cancer. With the new moon in Cancer, there was a lot of issues as far as release of energy and understanding the spirit realm, because you have those squares, right? Those squares were really getting into the way. I should be grabbing my notes right now. Pretty sure it was square, yeah, the new moon was square Neptune. So that was causing a lot of issues because it wasn't enabling you to kind of see the beauty of the experience. It was causing you to pretty much focus on the negativity of it because you felt stuck. You felt like you were suffocating within your own emotions because you couldn't get them out. Well, the positive side of this is, although this is a darker kind of setting when it comes to having those sandwich of conjunctions of Saturn and Pluto, at the same time with having the moon or the eclipse sextile Neptune, it's actually opening those doors again. So now you're able to see, even in the darkness, you're able to see such positive things because you're like, all right, I have somewhere positive to escape, right? Imagine when they say, like, when things get so dark, that's when it really enables you to really see the light when something happens amazing. Like, it enables you to really have faith more than you ever had because you went through this drastic thing, and then this light came and appeared, and it was more, you see it more than you ever did because it really means something now, right? So this is the time where now you can escape into the other realm because that Neptune energy has opened the doors. So this is going to offer you empathy. It's going to offer you intuition. It's going to offer you, in many ways, playfulness. Love or above, right? The vibrational frequency of love or above that, right? Because of that Piscean energy. Neptune really doesn't want to give away any other energy but understanding subconscious, because Neptune is the water. I say this a lot in the videos. Neptune is the water in the glass, right? Saturn, constructs the glass or whatever, and then the water that goes in the glass is that Neptune energy, right? That's the 50% to 65% that of water that all of us are, right? That's what that stands for. It's our soul. It's our energy. It's our energy source, pretty much, right? So it's awesome because now you can escape to that. You can escape to other realms. You can escape to your happy place, right? That was a major thing. And ultimately, this offers idealism because Saturn does nothing but offer practicality. It offers so much practicality that it's similar to the saying of what Jim Carrey said, that sometimes you could trick yourself and tell yourself that fear is practicality. It's not practicality. Just because you're fearful of something and you make a decision and you feel like it's better, you're saying to yourself that it's better because in your mind you're telling yourself it's more practical, right? Well, this is giving you idealism. And ultimately, that's really what we're looking forward to when the two luminaries are working together. It's opening doors for all dividends, everything. It's opening doors for all possibilities. Things that didn't make sense before, or things that didn't, take place before that you had wished they took place because you set those intentions. This is a time with a new moon that it's now so much energy that works together to open those gates for things to work out for you. And this is 3 times that energy. And it's a part of that series. So it's going to be another cycle that comes up next year. And it's really awesome if you could utilize that energy now to kind of foreshadow the way things are going to happen. Okay? So the idealism evens out all the harsh edges. The other thing I wanted to bring up, the other card that I had, was the Magician card. I've showed this card as well a few times, right? So the reason why I brought this card up is because there's another placement, or another transit, which is Saturn sextile Neptune. This is important to know because this definitely stands with the idea of as above, so below, right? The ability to take something that you think in the spirit realm, or you think out and create thoughts, and now bringing it into physical realm. right? This is exactly what this guy is doing over here. He has all the resources needed, right? He has the wands, the swords, the cups, and the pentacles, right? And then he has the ability to now take his wand and bring forth his thoughts, his infinite thoughts, right? That's a sign of infinity. His infinite thoughts into the physical realm, right? Pointing below. As above, so below, right? So he's able to do those things. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what it says is that utilize both the energies. It's not saying completely like ignore that Saturnian energy, because the Saturnian energy is good if it's used in the proper way. It's saying take discipline and take, you know, your dreams and put them together, right? Sextiles, Saturn, sextile, Neptune. Put them together and create an even balance between practicality, right? Between practicality and idealism. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're disciplined to get things done, you're going to be able to manifest. But without being a little bit disciplined, or, you know, putting your or I should say prepping, you're going to be all over the place, right? So it's so important to know that this is the energy that you can combine both of them. All right? What else do I have for you guys? Okay, it said the eclipse takes place in a conjunction sandwich between Saturn and Pluto. So Saturn, as if being in Capricorn wasn't easy, pressure, it's going to touch on self-discipline. It's definitely, it's in its home planet too, so that's also major to understand as well. Saturn is hanging out with Capricorn, right? In Capricorn, not Capricorn. That's its home area, right? Saturn rules Capricorn, so it's in its zone right now. And having it in its zone is even going to make it even more like, what's up? I can be strict over here without worrying if it's going to, offend anyone, right? Because this is I rule this situation. When it comes to Pluto, it's darkness. Are we able to achieve what we desire? Transformation. And it also talks about sexual control, which I didn't get into as well, right? Pluto is a sexual planet. It touches on that Scorpio energy, the scorpionic energy. So this is a time that some people might use sex in order to gain control over people, right? Because you're putting the emotions in between control factors, which is Saturn, and sex, which is Pluto. So be careful of being one of those people that pours your heart into a act of sex that's casual, because it could really harm you and put you in a dark, depressed area. And that's one thing that a Capricorn can tell you, or a Scorpio all day. That is the last place they want to be, because depression is a lot deeper for them than it is for any other sign. All right. Another thing to touch on as well, being that you still have that idea of Pluto being in Capricorn, it's important to understand, right? Capricorn has everything to do with the government. So this is a big, and when I say government, it's because it's that 10th house flare. So having that Pluto energy into Capricorn is also going to bring out more and more and more secrets. We've been finding out secrets left and right now. I think it's just unbelievably perfect that we start off this year with this energy, because now this is the year that we can now do this investigation on Trump, and it's so exciting, and I'm super happy about it, because basically this energy is to set things up. It's a new beginning. It talks about getting into the depths, into the secrets, right? And that's not just with the government, that's with you too, right? Your secrets are going to come out. They're going to expose who has more control in the situation, because those who have the most secrets usually are the ones that are asking for more control, because they have fear of losing that control, right? But this is really going to put a lot of pressure on the government, more and more pressure on the government. It's going to tap into how others feel, right? It's going to tap into the emotions of what the vibrational frequency is within this country, how people feel, and it's going to come out now. Now how people feel are going to matter, because people are tired. They are so tired of complaining left and right about things that are not getting done, about being mistreated with certain situations, about, you know, dealing with people that may be racist, or this whole immigration situation, or just things that are just not right, it's just going to keep coming out. And I'm telling you right now, this is the perfect energy, the perfect energy for this whole, the ladies just got sworn in that we just saw, which is awesome. Like, all these beautiful multicultural women they ran for Congress, they just got sworn in, you know, and now, like, this, they passed this whole thing for him to have this investigation. Like, it's about to go down. That's all I have to say. But on a positive end, we finally will get to know the truth, hopefully. But understand that also will happen with you guys as well. It is not just the government. So if I were you, I would come forward about a lot of stuff, because although you can escape into the other realms, it's going to be very hard to escape so far out that you can literally bystand all of the stuff that you held in previously, the secrets, okay? So this is a crazy energy. Depends on where it is in your birth chart. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And if you have any questions, absolutely ever, please feel free to contact me. Friend me on Instagram. My Instagram is siren.selenophile. Alright, so that is, or selenophile, however you say it. That's SIREN dot as in period, and it's SELENOPHILE. That's my Instagram handle. Also, I have my YouTube handle, and it is Suki-Liyah B, which is SUKILIYAH. I'm sorry, no B, just Suki-Liyah, right? So that's awesome. And then I also just had a special that I just ended, but I actually decided to come up with a special for Valentine's Day and also a special for Pisces season, because that is my opposite sign and my rising, part of my rising sign, and I love my Pisces. I just think it's a wonderful season to celebrate mermaids and everything magical. So I'm going to come out with a special for that as well. That will be the end of February into the middle of March. But other than that, I have my readings, which is $35 for 1 hour for a tarot reading. And I also have a $75 birth chart reading, or you could do, and that's for 1.5 hours to 2 hours of birth chart reading. Or you could do the package deal right now, which is at $95. And that's for, you know, basically the same thing. You're just saving a couple bucks as well. And you could split that into 2 different appointments as well. Alright, guys, so taking this energy, it's a very crazy, ruthless energy. It's dark, but it's definitely going to help. It's going to help a lot of us get out what we need to get out and be open and honest to ourselves. You know, there's a lot of energy between the Sagittarius new moon. This is the first new moon since the Sagittarius, so there's still energies floating around on, like, bluntness and getting out emotions, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think that we're ready, right? We're all ready to just get it out and get going and propel forward, because there's no reason to allow yourself to be held back for things that you didn't say, right? But other than that, you guys have my information, and if you guys have any questions about the moon, feel free to contact me, okay? Good night. I love you all. Have a beautiful weekend. Night.